I'm using an old style, what's called a reflector light hood on this aquarium. I haven't switched to LEDs on the tank because I like the look of it. It's kind of nostalgic for me, but also with LEDs you get a color spectrum of about 6500, which is toward the blue area of the spectrum. With these compact fluorescent bulbs that I'm using in a reflector light that was made for incandescent bulbs decades ago, you get a color temperature of about 2600. Now that's toward the red end of the spectrum, so cherry shrimp, which are red in color, stand out much better in this temperature. I'm very pleased that in spite of my ill-advised attempt to rid this Anubias heterophylla of blackbeard algae with hydrogen peroxide outside of the tank, which resulted in the destruction of its two remaining leaves, it has sprouted another leaf. One leaf is nearly completely gone at this point. Another leaf is holding on and providing some sustenance for the plant. I don't want it to have only one leaf left, so I'll go ahead with a pair of scissors and remove the leaf that isn't helping at all. Very carefully. I don't want to remove the plant on the piece of driftwood. It's been through enough already. So I'll very carefully get in here and as close as possible. There. There are several driftwood ornaments in this tank, but as you can see, Java moss has completely overtaken all of them. I like to use the driftwood ornaments to hide the intake of the filter as best as possible. It's black, so it kind of blends in with the backdrop. In aquascapes now, I simply paint the back of the tank black. I don't like to use any prepared backdrops from pet stores anymore. They have some pretty pictures of live plants and hardscape, but for me, just black is best, as is a black substrate. You can see this tank has the deep river gravel that I used for years in fish tanks, but for me that's not an aquascape. The substrate should be fertilized. This substrate does contain some potting soil. I've also added compost just on top of the gravel because it's impossible to get it underneath. But I noticed immediately when I added compost to the tank in an attempt to get some more fertilizer in there for the plants, the shrimp went to work rooting through it, eating it, consuming whatever they could get. And it didn't look too out of place laying on top of the gravel until it kind of broke down and filtered into the gravel or was consumed by the cherry shrimp. On the left you can make out the few remaining water wisteria. A dearth of fertilization, I believe, is the reason it grows tall and spindly in this tank, and the lower leaves tend to deteriorate and fall off. So I'll probably go ahead and remove the last of it, since it just doesn't do anything in this tank. The side view of the tank, you can have a close-up of the water wisteria. Mainly just stalks and deteriorated leaves. I'm not anxious to break this tank down. It makes a comfortable home for loads of cherry shrimp. For the most part, they keep the algae down. The tank has become quite balanced. This tank has insufficient fertilizer to sustain plants other than Java moss and Anubias. I don't break a tank down each time I set up a new one. I'll have too many tanks going at once. I need to stay at around half a dozen tanks, so I'll have time to give all my pets and plants the attention they need.